Hello, this is Ian, Somerset News Network. I've entitled this video, Where Do We Go From Here? We had Tommy Robinson's Unite the Kingdom March, which is now estimated at 3 million people in London. That's huge. It's the biggest demonstration this country has ever seen. Tommy Robinson has now become a political force. He's not a political party. What might happen is Tommy Robinson will endorse a political party and his followers will follow. Think about that. If it was really 3 million in London yesterday, and it said to have had 2 million watching it online, and the others that were working and couldn't get the internet or couldn't watch it, you can double that figure. So that's going to be 6 million people. That's almost 10% of the population. Tommy has around 10% of the people following him. That is huge. That's, more than any political party. Tommy Robinson is now a force to be reckoned with. The thing is, in my eyes, I think Farage and Tommy Robinson are saying the same thing. They want the same things. They want the border closed. They want to stop the boats. They want to protect the children. And Farage does as well. Farage has been out in boats watching the immigrants come in to report it, to explain to us what's going on. Tommy has been talking about the grooming gangs. And if they're grooming gangs and they're grooming children, they are paedophiles. They are talking the same language. Different ways, but the same language. They want the same ends. Tommy wants to unite the country. Farage has to unite the country to get elected. At some point, Reform is going to have to say, although we don't like Tommy, we want his supporters to vote for us. It's a political certainty. They have to endorse what Tommy and his supporters are doing because they're saying the same thing. Farage has got to talk to Tommy, and then the two of them can decide what they're going to do. This country needs to unite. Tommy is right. Farage cannot just dismiss it. He could lose the election over this. I've said before, what we need is a manifesto, an agreement, a declaration, if you like to call it that, of things that we agree with. I've listed them before. Stopping the boats, secure borders, making the streets safer so kids don't have to carry knives and axes to feel safe. It's part of our constitution. You should be able to walk and come and go peacefully. It's one of the main things of our constitution. We help the downtrodden, the disabled and the elderly. It's part of our DNA. Yes, we've got to cut out waste. Yes, we've got to cut out fraud. But you can't have one size fits all, and then people that actually need it find they can't have it because they don't fit the mould. You've got to stop the corruption and the fraud, yes, but not at the bequest of affecting people that actually need the help. That's what I'm afraid of if we continue down the road with this Labour government. What is the goal? Where from now, what is our goal? Our goal is to remove the Labour government. Okay, that means we vote Conservative, Liberal Democrat or Reform. We've rejected the Tories before, and Liberal Democrats, well, they may pick up a couple of seats. Because the defected Labour voters won't vote Labour. They will look for another socialist movement, and that will be the Liberal Party. What we've got to do is reform has to be a coalition. Yes, it might be what you would call traditional conservative, but it's still a coalition. Still has to agree to certain rights and freedoms and liberties that this country has always had. And I think Tommy Robinson and his supporters would welcome that. If we don't do it soon, Labour could call a general election, vote Starmer out, get a new Prime Minister in, and then call an election and say, oh, we're not like under Starmer. So that Labour maintains its core vote. And the backbenchers will go with it because they want to keep their seat, or they think they'll keep their seat. But if we, the people, can unite and back reform, then reform can back us. We have a chance of changing things, making this country better. When I repair a gun, because that's what I do, I'm a gunsmith, I try and repair it so it's better than it was, so that it lasts longer. One of the slogans I used to use is looking after your guns so they last a lifetime. Well, they last more than a lifetime. Sometimes 3 lifetimes. We've got to think the country like that. When you've got a garden, not going to say I was the best gardener in the world. Once I'd got the arthritis in the hip, I couldn't do the work I wanted to do. But you look after a garden, or you look after a farm, and you try and leave it to your offspring in a better condition than you took it on. This is what we've got to do with the country. If Reform win the next election, then they have to make it better than it was before. And I tell you what, because of the tyranny of Starmer, that's going to be pretty easy. We're going to have to wind the clock back and say, well, what worked in the future? And how are we going to go forward? And it's up to us, the people, to come up with an agreement that we all agree with, and to make sure that the political party we're going to vote for has the same aims. So, we're talking about securing the border, making sure our kids are safe, They were never safe under Starmer because Starmer wouldn't prosecute the rape gangs when he was the Crown Prosecution Service, and now he's Prime Minister. He's reluctant to still do it. Their argument is the girls won't be believed. Well, I did youth work for 10 years, and you can normally tell if a child, somebody under 16, is lying or not. It's an instinct, if you like. But if you can get the evidence as well, then we can stop it. And it's the whole of us have got to do it together. We may have to work with imams to try and stop it. And if we do catch them, we got to put them in jail. They got to stand up in court for their crimes. We are a Christian country. And these people are using Sharia law to say it's okay. Well, the first thing to do is not allow Sharia law into our courts. That's it. Boom. It is illegal under the Bill of Rights to have ecclesiastical courts. That is church courts. And Sharia courts are church courts. Therefore, they become illegal. Full stop. Because we're a Christian country, we can do it. We just need the will. I'm not anti-Muslim. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if they live here, they got to live within our rules. Not put their rules onto us. And I don't see anything wrong with that. We have to stop the boats, make the kids safe. Everybody's got to be able to work. We've got to try and get business back and people working and making things. People can't make things because of the cost of electric and the cost of buildings. I can only be self-employed because I work from home. And I've done that for 15 years now. I couldn't afford to go out and buy or rent a workshop. The rent is just astronomical. And I'm one man on his own. I couldn't take anybody on because that means I would have to pay wages. And then you've got NI on top, national insurance. It's uneconomical for me to take an apprentice on. So my work, if I need it, is jobbed out to somebody else who's self-employed. But that's diminishing. That's making cottage industries. Now, cottage industries can't grow because of the bureaucracy and the taxes that this Labour government have put on people. So a new government, if it's reform, needs to allow engineering companies and companies that make things to thrive. So we can have made in Britain on stuff and at a reasonable price that people can afford. Because at the moment, luxury goods we're okay with, even though some of them are struggling. You know, because it's got a niche market, luxury goods are going to the top, I don't know, 20%, 10%. What we're not doing is making things for the masses. All that's coming from China and Malaysia and India. You know, we have to get this country back up and running. Yeah, I go to Birmingham once a month. And you drive round the streets of Birmingham, and although the main road is clear, there's litter along the side of the path. It looks like a third world country. And when you look down the roads to the flats and that, there's piles of bin bags on top of the big bin dustbins, where the dustbin men have been on strike. This is no way to run a country. We've now got the tube on strike. We've got visitors coming to London, and they like to go on the tube and get round London. It's easy. It's a lovely way of going round London. I used to go into Paddington, get on the tube, go into St James's, come out of St James's, and go to the government buildings in Marsham Street, where I used to go about once a month for a meeting with my department. And union meetings as well, because I was a union rep. But rail now, I used to be able to buy a rail ticket, and if I was late for the 7 o'clock, I could catch the 7:30 or the 7:45. I could get on any train from that station to where I was going. Now you've got to book a ticket and book a seat. And you've got the same ticket to come home on a train that's designated. You know, we're going backwards in this country, not forward. Yeah, we got computers to do it, but you ought to be able to go to a station and get on any train, not have a ticket that says it's got to be to 7 o'clock. Because things happen. And we've got to understand that we've got to get back slightly to go forward. We've got to reintroduce our rights and liberties. There's Acts of Parliament that says rights and liberties are the subject. Habeas corpus is a good one. What's happened to that? We've got the Bill of Rights. You know, the one they say we haven't got. Well, we got a Bill of Rights. It's involved with jury trial, free speech, and that was what allows the police to be armed. There's a section there that says you can be armed for your defence, and that allows the police to be armed. If the police are armed and that doesn't count, they become a standing order, and that under the Bill of Rights is illegal, because you can't have a standing army. You know, it's all there. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to understand what we had and reaffirm it. No need for new laws. Reaffirm the laws we already had. And when you got a veteran in a wheelchair being picked up by 5 police officers and dumped in the back of a van because he had a sign that said, "This is not the country I fought for," then something is very drastically wrong with this country. And the political parties need to recognise this and talk about it and explain how they're going to fix it. Anyway, Ian, enough said. Bye bye for now.